International investors investing in Dubai real estate could lose up to 10 or even 15% if they do not do the currency exchange in the right manner. But what if I told you there's a way you can avoid this loss? And to discuss that, today joining me on the show is Suraj Gokani, the founder of Currencies for You, who's handled billions of dollars in international exchange and payments. Guys, before I start the show, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your likes, comments, and shares are really, really appreciated. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please give us a follow. Apple podcast listeners, please give us a 5-star rating and review. And now let's cue the music. Hi, Suraj. Thank you so much for joining us on the show and taking your valuable time out while you're in Dubai. First of all, why don't you just start with an introduction so the people watching this or listening to this know what you do?
So first and foremost, thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure
to be on your show. So I'm Suraj Gokani, founder of Currencies for You. And to keep it simple, we do international money transfers.
Right.
So we assist clients, whether it's corporate clients or private individuals, sending money overseas to obtain the best exchange rates and timing the exchange rates, because to hear that's the most important aspect when you're buying currency or sending money abroad.
So now, Suraj, talking about exchange rates,
Sure.
Majority of the buyers who buy in Dubai are overseas buyers. Okay. And one of the reasons I was very keen to get you on the podcast was because, you know, when international buyers are buying, exchange rate sometimes can make or break a decision. You know, sometimes people think that, I was going to buy something, my exchange rate was this, and now it's changed. So how do you all operate? So if someone wants to transfer funds from, let's say from UK to a developer in Dubai, how do you all help the client?
Okay, so there's two things. Firstly, people can go through the traditional banks and convert their exchange and do the transfer from, say, for example, pounds into dirhams.
Correct.
The banks will typically charge 4 to 5% on that currency exchange.
Okay.
There's no guidance and assistance with whether the rate is good at that time or bad at that time. It's as simple as you need to exchange today. Here's the exchange rate. Here's how much it's going to cost you. They'll then charge a transfer fee, and it will take between 3 and 5 days typically to get here.
Right.
With Currencies for You, and what we do is we handhold the client from start to finish.
Okay.
So international payments is about timing the currency exchange rate.
Right.
The market moves every 2 to 3 seconds to here.
True.
And not a lot of people understand that. So what we do is we help the client understand what their budget is. Okay. So if you're buying a property off plan, you know that you've got 12 to 24 months to make those payments.
Right.
So the exchange rate today is not necessarily the same as what it's going to be this afternoon or tomorrow. Now we buy directly from the stock market.
Okay.
So we are buying it interbank prices, which is the same that the bank will buy from, but their margin will be 4 to 5%. So if you're transferring £100,000, they're going to make 4 to 5,000 pounds. The banks traditionally, okay. With us, we might be doing it for as little as 0.1% to 0.5%. So we'll make £100 to £500 on that same currency exchange, saving the client £4,000. And that makes a big difference.
True.
That's without even helping them time the transaction.
Got it.
Like I said, the market moves every 2 to 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of information that we have access to when specific events are going to happen. And we understand whether the market's in somebody's favor or working against them and what the forward guidance looks like.
Okay.
Now, that just allows the client to make a more informed decision. We don't have a crystal ball to hear.
True.
Okay. So it's not a case of trying to speculate on the market, whether it's definitely going up or going to drop.
Right.
But to help a client and say, well, actually, there's economic events that are happening tomorrow or the day after. The UK might be looking to raise its interest rates, which could be good for a currency. Or the US, as we know, the dirham is pegged to the US dollar.
Yes.
The US are talking about cutting interest rates at the moment. So that has a negative impact on that currency. And those are the types of information that we'll help a client with to time the transaction.
Okay. But how does this work? Okay, I know if I want to send money out from one country to another. I go to the bank. I tell them this is the bank account details. This is the amount. They give me a rate, and at that rate, the transaction happens. Now, someone wants to use your services, right? So what you're saying is you would give a rate better than the bank. So obviously they save money on exchange. But then how does the transaction work? Do they give the money to you? Is it routed through their own bank? How does the whole process go?
So fortunately for the client, they're not giving their money to me or currencies for you.
Okay.
We open a named bank account. So if it's Yuta here doing the transaction, we're going to open a bank account with a tier 1 bank. Okay. So your money is 100% safeguarded.
Okay.
It's fully FCA regulated framework. So you're completely protected. The bank account will be in your name. You will send your pounds into that bank account.
Okay.
It will appear in your wallet on your online banking.
Right.
We would assist you with the currency exchange, or you could do it yourself on the online platform.
Okay.
It's nice and easy to use. It's very simple. But if you wanted us to do it for you, we would do the currency exchange from pounds into dirhams or whichever currency that you wanted to go to. And you would, of course, the same way you would tell the bank which beneficiary details you want the payment to go to, you would be informing us. But of course, you can upload those yourself on the platform as well. So whether you want us to do it for you or you want to do it all yourself, it's a very easy system to use. And the payments are typically same day. So we would get your money here same day. Worst case, it's going to be tomorrow if we make the payment today, depending on the time that we send the money from the UK.
Okay, got it. And does this work only if someone's sending money, say, from UK to Dubai, or can this be also reverse, Dubai to UK?
So this is 140 currencies that we deal with.
Okay.
In any which direction. So it could be dirhams back to sterling, and we do a lot of that right now. There's a lot of people that work in the UAE but still support family members back home. So we're also converting those funds back, or people selling their assets here and converting it back.
And do you all do this for only someone who's, say, for example, buying a property, or this can be done for any amount?
No. So we do it for corporate entities that are doing import-export, overseas payroll, of course, people buying properties, but even now, people buying high-valued luxury goods like yachts or watches has become a big thing now as well. And sometimes, like I said to you, overseas people that are working here, earning here,
sending money to the family,
sending money, family back home. We also facilitate for that market as well.
Got it. So explain a little more in detail. Now, if a bank is giving a rate, how is it that you all give a better rate than the bank? How does that actually happen?
The banks get greedy. To keep it simple, the banks get greedy. When we set up currencies for you, the whole philosophy behind what we wanted to achieve is transparency. And just being honest with the client to give a sharper exchange rate. The client saves money, introduces a new client, and we grow from the back of that. So it took a lot longer to make good profit, but it's built on a trusted, honest, with integrity as a foundation for the company that will give a much better exchange rate, sharper pricing, and guide the clients, help the clients, give that free information, which they're not going to get anywhere else. That's what we want to do, is just help them. Whether they use us or not is irrespective. If we help somebody to time their transaction and they save 2, 3, 4, 5%, we sleep very well.
Of course. Look, if someone's buying a property and if it's worth, let's say, 5 million dirhams, it's about £1 million, right? If they save 3, 4, 5%, it's a big amount.
Correct. That furnishes
it's probably their yearly rental.
100%. The yearly rental. Sometimes it covers the deposit for the payment.
Exactly.
They buy the best thing for us is when a client will send us photos of, hey, we've just redecorated our kitchen, or we've done an extension, and that was thanks to your help because we saved £50,000 in the process. That makes us very happy if we can help in that way.
So it's something interesting you shared with me before was you can also, a client can also hedge against the fluctuation of the currency, right? Like if you can guarantee them a certain rate, because when someone buys an off-plan property, especially, the payment plans are spread over 2, 3, 4 years. And now if it's a person buying from overseas, let's assume from the UK, today, for example, if he's buying, the pound is at 4.8, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that, right? But sometime back it was 4.4. So if it fluctuates, or, how can someone, save that? Like, how can they make sure that they're not going to get hit by this fluctuation?
Well, this is a very good question, because most people, when they're buying an investment property, or even if it's just something they're going to reside in, when they start the process, the whole transaction from seeing the property, liking it, getting it accepted from an offer perspective, to actually completing is typically about 3 to 6 months.
Right.
That's a lot of exchange rate risk, considering the markets move every 2 to 3 seconds. So a lot of people actually don't understand that you can fix the exchange rate today for a very small deposit for up to 2 years in advance. So irrespective of what happens to the market, because if Trump opens his mouth and it starts to drop or it goes back up, irrespective, you know from the outset what that purchase is going to cost you.
Got it.
And this is where we're trying to educate people. A lot of people to here don't even know that that even exists, because the banks might not tell you that. Some of these online fintech platforms don't tell you that. But that's why we're here, to give the client all of the options, the payment options, to say, lock in your exchange rate. You know what the investment's going to cost from day one, and there's no exposure to the market.
Got it. So to put it in simple terms, say, for example, I'm an overseas investor. I'm buying from UK, Europe, wherever. And right now I see that the exchange rate is really amazing. Now, obviously, I don't have maybe the whole money ready to send, or I probably don't need to pay the whole amount to the developer today. So what you're telling me is I can lock the exchange in today for 2 years, and whenever my installments are due, I'll be paying with this rate, even if the rates drop.
Correct.
And what kind of deposit do I need to give? Say, let's assume I need to make a payment of, say, £1 million, or 1 million euro. What kind of deposit does that require?
So you'll need 5% of the amount that you're looking to exchange.
In 2 years?
In 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
So you put the deposit down today.
Okay.
And as and when you need to make those payments, and that's where my team come in to help you and say your stage payment is due on this date.
Right.
Can you pay X amount of pounds at the agreed exchange rate, not whatever the market price is now, at the agreed exchange rate.
Right.
And we make the payment onwards for you.
Okay. And this again would be the same way that the money would go into the account, and from there it's going to go, or how does that work?
Yep, nice and simple. So you just send in the equivalent amount, for example, in sterling.
Yeah.
It would automatically reconcile and be converted into dirhams at the agreed exchange rate, or whichever currency, euros, dollars, whichever. And we would deposit the money out straight away, same day.
Okay. And this can be used by you said 140 currencies, right? Now, so even if someone is transferring money from, say, Europe or US, can they also avail this?
Yes.
Okay. So now in terms of, like, say, for example, the dirham is pegged to the dollar. Okay. How does that benefit the client if they use your services?
Again, it's the same thing. If the client is going to exchange from the US coming into Dubai and the UAE, they will get an exchange rate from their bank or their current currency provider. Now, as we know, it's a pegged exchange rate anyway.
Yeah.
But the banks do still take a margin.
Yes, they do.
Sometimes 1.5%, 2% even. We can do that for as little as 0.1%.
Okay.
That's money back in the client's pocket.
Got it.
Every time.
Hey guys, just want to take a brief moment to talk more about Prime Capital Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm based here in Dubai. If you need any help with investing in properties in Dubai, please do reach out to me on any of my social media handles at Tahir Majitia. We don't just sell you a property, we're here to build a long-term relationship. And what that means is we're here to not just sell you a property, but make sure that tomorrow if you want to resell the property, you want to rent the property, you want to get a golden visa, you need help setting up a business over here or a bank account, we are there for you. A one-stop shop. You don't need to go to 10 people and do 10 different things. We're here to help you, a one-stop solution. If you want to speak to me ever, do reach out to me on any of my social media handles at Tahir Majitia. And now back to the show. And how does one, in terms of documentation, or are there any restrictions or limitations in this? How do you onboard a client? Like if someone says, say if I today come to you and I say, okay, Suraj, I need to send, I bought a property, I need to send $300,000, for this purchase. What documents would you ask from the client?
Same documents as you would need to open a bank account, to keep it simple, because effectively we're doing the same thing. We're opening you a bank account in your name. So ID and verification of address.
Right.
But with the ever-changing world of technology, 99.9% of clients can be verified online. So a simple thing like putting in your passport number along with where your current address is, the electronic system would be able to pick you up and verify that you're at that address.
Okay.
Then if it's an investment property or you're buying just a a residential property, you'll have a purchase agreement anyway.
Yes.
So a copy of the invoice to support the transaction.
Okay.
Due diligence we take very seriously, and 99.9% of clients will have that straight away anyway, because it's a simple process to provide the documents to support why you're making the payment.
Okay.
So it's nice and easy. The account can be opened as quick as same day.
Okay.
On a private individual, worst case, typically 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. Okay. So just in case if someone is planning, and it's okay if someone, say for example, today someone's planning to buy, they're still not finalized on what they want to buy, but if they want to open an account and keep the funds ready to go, they could still do that.
Of course. Yeah, we have plenty of clients that just keep funds on account and will say to us, when the exchange rate is good, can you let me know?
Okay.
And that brings me on to market orders.
Right.
A lot of people don't even know what this is. There's two financial tools that are available.
Okay.
One is called a limit order.
Okay.
So to here, the exchange rate today is at 4.80 dirhams to pound, for example. Now you phone me and you say, Suraj, I really want to achieve 4.9.
Right.
If it hits 4.9, don't even phone me, automatically buy it for me.
Got it.
We can put what's called a limit order in the market, which is where it's above the current exchange rate.
Okay.
Now, if the market hits that price, even at 3 o'clock in the morning, whilst you and I are getting our beauty sleep, it will automatically exchange the currency at that price.
Okay.
So you've got no exposure. The market could hit that price and drop back off by the time we wake up in the morning. But if you set a price into the market that you wish to achieve and it hits that overnight or throughout the day, it will automatically exchange it.
Got it.
The other financial tool is called a stop loss.
Right.
So if we're at 4.80 dirhams to the pound right now, and to here you've said to me, I want to get 4.90. That's my desired price.
Yeah.
But Suraj, at the same time, I don't want to go any less than 4.70. That's my bottom price. I don't want to go less than that. We can put a stop loss in the market.
Right.
It's an order that we put in at the lower end to say we're trying to target 4.9, but we don't want to go less than 4.7. So if for whatever reason the market crashes overnight, like Trump has done very recently, and we've all seen this, it would trigger out at 4.70.
Okay.
So you know your best case and
worst
worst case from the very outset.
Right.
And that's what allows you to stay protected when you're doing international currency exchange. That's what we're trying to help people understand. You do have these tools in place.
Right.
Work with an institution who can help you to stop you losing tons of money, and also take advantage of the exchange rate when it's in your favor, because the markets are very quick.
Right.
Sometimes it will hit that exchange rate and drop straight back off.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah. I mean, it just hits and then it's just dropped.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have something called technical analysis.
Yes.
And that's various different levels in the market, which can be tested, but it might not break those levels. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong.
Right.
Most people, when they're making international payments, will wait till the last minute when they need to pay an invoice, whether it's a stage payment or their invoice for purchasing goods overseas. They'll wait till the last minute. They'll phone 3 or 4 FX companies on that day, and the bank included, to shop around for the best exchange rate. Now, that's good practice to do that.
Yeah.
But if that's the worst day of that whole month to exchange, you may have already lost 2 or 3% by waiting for that opportunity then. And that's where we narrow that risk to say, we understand the markets. It's what we do 24/7. Let us help you and time the transaction, because that's where the value add is. Not just shopping around for the best exchange rate on the last day, which could be the worst day.
Now, how does one, if a client wants to, like, for example, let's say if a client is in the US or maybe he's in Europe, UK, right? With different paths. Does he need to physically come somewhere, or the whole process is online?
Whole process is online, and we're still traditional. We like to speak to our clients. We like to know who they are, what they're doing, understand what they're trying to achieve. So we're always available on the phone, but we do have the fintech platform. A lot of people nowadays, this new generation, Generation Z, as we call them, they like to do things themselves online, but they will still reach out to say, when is the best time to exchange? What's happening with the markets? Is it likely to have an impact because of next week's conference or the interest rate decision in this economy? And that's where the value add is. Speak to us, but of course you've got the online platform if you just want to do everything yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And Are there any restrictions on when a client comes to you and says, okay, I want to send money from year to year, say, wherever? Are there any restrictions someone needs to take care of or anything?
Not necessarily. I mean, the restrictions that we have from a compliance perspective, and we do take compliance very seriously. We can't deal with cash.
Right.
Everything is bank to bank because it's a completely regulated framework, which is the best thing for the client because it keeps them safe. It keeps their money safe. That's the most important for us. And of course, we can't send money or receive money from a sanctioned entity. Other than that, no.
Okay. And is there any restrictions that this money can be sent out only for certain things like, say, property purchase or purchase of luxury goods or anything? Or it could be also business transaction or anything, or maybe, say, sending it to a family. Are there any sort of restrictions on that?
No restrictions whatsoever. You can make any payment to anyone you want, pretty much anywhere in the world, like I said, with the exception of sanctioned entities, for any reason. And as long as you have the supporting documentation for that.
Got it. And when a client is using your services, like I'm thinking from a perspective where when we do developer payments, right? Whenever we transfer payments internationally, obviously there's, a bank receipt saying, okay, this is the transfer, the Swift copy or whatever. When a person is using your services, what sort of things do they get, like in terms of as proof of transfer to send it to, say, a developer?
So they will get what's called an MT-103.
Okay.
So anyone in the banking world will understand that. But for everybody else, it's a document that shows the trail path of the funds from destination A to destination B.
Got it.
On there, it will have the beneficiary details, a copy of all of the account transaction, along with the value date of when that transaction is going to hit that account. For whatever reason, and this is quite common with developers, they're receiving hundreds, if not thousands of payments.
Yes.
Very regularly.
Yes.
As soon as you provide this document to them, they know what it is and they can locate the funds pretty much straight away.
Got it. But also one more thing, Suraj, you mentioned that, typically when you do an international transfer, the banks take, sometimes can take up to 2 days, 3 days, right? Now, y'all do it probably the same day or the very next day. How does that happen? Like, why would a bank take more time when you're also using a banking channel and, doing the transfer? So what's so special about it?
It's the speed of the transaction. So we prioritize the payment with the same banks.
Okay.
And it will take, like, if we did a transaction today and we sent the dirhams today, 9 times out of 10, it will be here, close of business same day, if not next day.
Okay.
But we have that banking network here as well, here in the UAE. So we have a global network of partners that can deposit the funds pretty much straight away anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Given the time difference. Banks don't necessarily have that same mechanism. So it would take 2 to 3 days. They do some additional checks, but they also charge in the process for the convenience of it as well.
And when the money gets credited to the developer, it would be mentioned that this is coming on behalf of so-and-so.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's coming from you to here, it will have your name on that transaction.
Okay. So that means, to give it as a proof of transfer, the developer also know, okay, this client has paid.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. And when it comes to your fees, right? How do you all charge that? Do you all incorporate that in the whole rate, or is that a separate fee which is charged?
It's charged within the exchange rate.
Okay.
And we're very transparent about that. Okay. Here's what the market price is. Here's what you're getting. Here's what your saving is in comparison to whichever institution you was using.
Got it. So the rate is inclusive of all charges. So the person who's actually using your service is only factoring, okay, I'm sending 100,000 pounds. I'm getting from my bank, say 4.7. I'm getting 4.8 here.
Correct.
Okay. So they're not going to pay anything extra over and above.
No additional fees whatsoever.
Okay. And when you do this setup of the account and all, does that cost anything, like a one-time fee or anything, or no?
Of course not.
Okay.
No charges.
And there's no expiry or, say maybe they used it today and then maybe they want to use some, maybe after a year or 2 years. That time, do they have to do anything else, or it's...
No, if you leave it 18 months, then the account goes into like a dormant account.
Okay.
But we can reactivate the account.
Got it.
But even if you set up an account today to here, you're not tied into using us.
Right.
Speak to us. Our team are very helpful, very friendly. We're more than happy to walk you through what options you've got in terms of booking the exchange rate, etc.
Right.
And like I said, even if we give you the right information and you still didn't use us, that's fine. If we've helped you, we sleep very well at night. Whoever's up there will look down on us in some other way.
Yeah. No, because what you said was, locking in the rate for 2 years, because that makes a lot of sense, especially when people are buying from overseas. And at times, because, especially with Dubai, right? See, what happens is in local markets where the buying, selling is more local, there the exchange rate doesn't matter, right? For example, let's assume majority of the people buying in India are people living in India, right? But majority of the people buying in Dubai are from around the world. And over the last few years, I've always seen this, that, whenever there's some major fluctuation of currency, that particular nationality looks at things very differently because of this reason. Because either one, they bought something, and when they bought something, say for example in their currency it costed them say 1 million. Let's assume in the UK, if someone bought something today for 1 million pounds, he can buy something for 4.8 million dirhams, right? If this drops, right, and they've not transferred the funds, or they still have to transfer, if it goes back to say 4.4, 4.5, that means they'll have to send more than 1 million pounds. So and vice versa as well. Sometimes when the rates have fallen, some people take decisions, okay, let me sell, take the money back, so that is something which I think is a great thing, especially for people buying from overseas, because that way they can at least lock in the rates. And this is something which I was also not aware that you could lock up to 2 years. I knew that exchange houses give a better rate, but locking for 2 years is, I think, is a good amount of time. And then once they've locked in for 2 years, can they do that again after 2 years if they want?
Yes. You can run concurrent contracts. So you can have multiple contracts at any one time.
Got it.
So most of the financial directors that we support and work alongside, they're importing stock regularly.
Right.
So they already know what next quarter's invoicing looks like, what 6 months looks like, and 9 months.
Right.
Some of these guys have 3 or 4 forward contracts at any one time, because as the market continues to drop, they get back in before it carries on.
Got it.
So they'll have multiple contracts that they can draw down from. And of course, if you have a forward contract, you can still buy from the normal live market.
Right.
You don't have to use the forward contract on every single transaction.
Okay.
You can use it to complement what the live market is doing.
What happens if, say, let's assume I get into a contract with you that, okay, I need to send this X amount, and I've given the 5% deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens is that, let's assume that I'm a buyer of a property, and I say, okay, I'm going to be sending out, 1 million pounds in the next 2 years. So let me lock the rate. Today, the rate is amazing. I give you a 5% deposit, which is 50,000 pounds, and you've locked the rate. I've sent out some money, and let's assume I got a very good offer for my property, and I decide to sell. Now, I don't need to send out the balance money. Then what happens?
So you're never left in a position where you're stuck.
Okay.
You can always sell the currency back to the live market.
Okay.
If you do that and the market is in your favor, you'll stand to make a profit. If you do that and the market is against you when we're selling the currency back, then you would make a loss, and that would come out of the deposit that you was holding on account.
Okay. Got it. So that's the risk I have to calculate, if just in case I decide for whatever reasons not to continue, and maybe I'm getting the funds back or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
But one thing I must make clear, we're not encouraging people to do forward contracts to speculate on the market.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're doing it because of a plan.
Correct. You're doing it because your intention is to buy something and you want to fix the price of what that's going to cost you in your base currency.
True.
Not because you think it's going to go up or down.
Yeah. Because
I like the price where it is now. It works for me where it is now. And I want to ring fence that and secure that.
Got it. So I'm sure a lot of import and export houses must be using your services as well.
Yes.
So people especially in the import-export business, I think this is something which they need to factor in, especially if they are manufacturing and,
It will surprise you if I tell you probably 6 out of every 10 financial directors we speak to still wait until the invoice is due. Because somebody else might be handling the payments and they don't actually forecast this and hedge it in. What we are trying to do is educate people to say, fix your price in because the markets are too volatile. You have interest rate decisions. economic policy,
Yeah.
monetary policy, what's happening geopolitically around the world.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you have natural disasters. Unfortunately, in today's world, terrorist activity.
Yeah.
How can you forecast this?
True.
So we say to people, if you know what your price is, fix it and add that percentage difference to your bottom line. That's money straight into your bottom line just by hedging the currency exchange. Because if you don't, and something does happen and the market goes against you, who picks up the cost? Do you absorb it as a business? Or do you pass that on to your clients, the retail client?
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 businesses can't sustain that model. They can't increase their prices overnight to the retail customer, which means they absorb it as a business.
Yeah.
And that comes straight off their bottom line.
True. No, I think that was really great information, Suraj. I'm glad we got to do this. One last question: if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch?
So you can visit our website, currenciesforyou.com.
Perfect.
Alternatively, our DM or link on this, if that's okay with you.
No, absolutely. I'm definitely going to leave your contact details in the description.
But at the very least, we're quite happy to just have a conversation with somebody. And if we can help them, great. And if we can't, and they've already got a good deal where they are, we'll be the first to tell them that to hear.
Great. Thank you so much, Suraj, for taking the time out and joining us, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. Thank you. So guys, that was Suraj Gokani on the Dubai Real Estate Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to leave his contact details in the show description below if you need to get in touch with him. And we'll be back with another episode of the Dubai Real Estate Podcast very soon.